welcome back to another episode of Tinfoil Hat.
Tinfoil Hat. Come with me into the waters of conspiracy with Sam Tripoli.
Sam?
Tripoli.
Sam Tripoli.
Mr. Sam Tripoli.
With my friend Ryan Davis.
Hi, Ryan.
We're the first gay couple of conspiracy theories.
I think it's beautiful, man.
Hold up there, partner. Say that again. It's some mystical, deep, dark realm, crazy shit.
Wake up, Aaron. There's reptile people everywhere.
Hey, man, where's the truth there, dog?
Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
That.
Will be podcasted.
And welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Hats. I am Sam Tripoli. Joining me, as always, my partner in crime, Ryan Davis.
I'm a bumblebee.
Yes, Ryan, we have a very, very exciting episode for everybody. So let's handle a little business. Guys, super exciting to announce there are Tinfoil Hat t-shirts available. We've actually had them going. Yes, that's right. Tinfoil Hat t-shirts. Aaron, we brought you your own t-shirt. Look at that. Bam. Look at that. And on the back it says, now you'll see them too. That is Aaron questioning everything, refusing to drink from the fountain of knowledge, and upsetting a tiny little girl on our intro. So those are available. Where do you go to get those, Sam? Great question, everybody. Great question. It's real simple. You go to, where are they real quick? Here we go. Where is this thing? All Comedy Tees right here, right? It goes All Comedy T-shirts, and we have
.com.
and we have the logo one. Okay, let me see if we can do this. This thing seems, there it is. We got the logo, you got the Tinfoil Hat logo, the mother of all truth bombs, and on the back it says, now you'll see them too. And then the other one is, which I'm super excited about, if I can figure out how to manage this whole thing, is, how do you get to the other one? The other one is one of my favorites. Okay, let's do this. No. Anyways, the other one is Smoke Weed, Eat Pussy, Hail Satan. That one is available as well. So you can get both those t-shirts. Come on, Aaron.
I fully support that.
You smoking weed and worshiping Satan? Is that what you're into?
As described on last week's episode, sure.
Yeah, why not? Okay, so and we also have, you guys got to get on our Twitter page. Go to Tinfoil Hat Podcast, put that in, or it's at the handle is at Mad Hatters 39ers. Check that out too. That is awesome. And Reddit, guys, get on Reddit. Get on the Reddit. Do the Reddit. The kids are all doing the Reddits. Where is it?
Tinfoil Hat Show.
Tinfoil Hat Show.
And you can also find another one at Tinfoil Hat Pod.
Yeah, so either one of those, join the madness. And we're on Instagram now, too. Tinfoil Hat Pod. Look at that. Aaron is in charge of that. And, guys, here it is. This is the Reddit. Tinfoil Hat Show. Check that out on Reddit. And, guys,
I've never been on Reddit. I will not be reading any of that. So.
Why? Why do you hate Reddit? Aaron, you're really close-minded, you Puritan. It's really upsetting us.
Why am I a Puritan?
You know what I want to do? I want us to grab Aaron and throw him in to the fountain of knowledge the way you do with fat kids at a pool. That's what I want to do. Just learn to swim, man. Get into this. And thank you guys for one of our best weeks ever. Again, I don't know how to get back to that shirt. That really upsets me.
Click the X.
Yeah, so much positive feedback from last week's episode. Not a single negative comment in the YouTube. Not a single negative comment on the iTunes. Nothing but 5 stars. So thank you guys for doing that.
Look at that, Aaron. Huh? Maybe I'll get you one of those shirts. Wear it around your lady. Let her know you're down the rock. Smoke some weed. Eat some pussy. Hail Satan, everybody.
Definitely down for 2 of those.
Definitely down for 2 of those. We'll let you pick the 2. Guys, a lot of great shit's going on. Thank you. So let's get into this. And I haven't done my dates out of the gate because this next gentleman is joining me. We have a fun week in Toronto coming up, one of my favorite places to gig. Joining me out there, he's got a great podcast called Let There Be Talk, and he's just killing it. He's one of the hardest working men in comedy, my good friend, Dean Delray.
What's happening, man? What's this thing, candles lit here?
This is a gig for you, man.
A gig?
A
Or
gift.
I don't trust that.
Really? Why?
Not with that pool. Fuck that.
No, it's good.
Come on, we
You'll
wouldn't
like
do
it.
that. Do we get gifts or a guest? Open up your gift, man. Why? You won't even trust us? What do you think there's in there?
All right. Hell yeah, man. That is great.
See, dude?
That is fucking this going to Toronto with me.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, you fucking did me
Explain
right.
what you got him.
Wait, tell them, for those listening at home, what you got there.
I got, these vegan protein bars called No Cow Bar, and I've been telling everybody about them for like a year, and these saved me from fucking just being diabetes fucking, death man. Because basically what happens is late night doing comedy, you're like, fuck, I'm kind of hungry, and you spin over to the fucking Comedy Store kitchen and eat some sliders or shit.
All the time.
All the time, and then you go, why did I fucking do that? And it just or just anything, late night burgers or anything. So this saves me. I eat one of these and I feel fucking great, and they're vegan, man. They're good, and 1 gram of sugar.
Yeah. Well, that's the gifts of coming on the show.
Wow, fuck yeah.
So we're going to be in Toronto. We're there Wednesday through Saturday night.
Yep.
Great gig, Toronto. It's the No Refunds Comedy Festival. Don't know how I feel about that name.
Yeah.
But it's me, you, Red Band, and we're at the Comedy Corner, and then we're at the Weed Bar. Which
Underground.
Is
The Underground. Yeah, and then we'll also be at Aft barbecue place, which is absolute. You eat barbecue?
I eat barbecue.
Oh, fuck these guys. You know what I always say? Something you never hear is, where you get great barbecue? Toronto. That's something you never hear.
Yeah.
But that's fucking real.
Toronto's one of the best cities you'll ever go to.
These two hipster guys have figured out how to barbecue under computers. And, they got like conveyor belt with a smoker that drops pellets in and then wood. And so I can't stand every time people go, oh, you got to try this brisket. It's the best brisket ever. And it's just dry fucking cardboard. Always. Oh, the best brisket ever. Everybody says that. But these guys fucking murder.
And what's the name of the place again?
Aft, A-F-T, and Aft Barbecue. And it's like a bar and a restaurant. It's
Awesome.
killer.
Tomorrow night, also forgot to announce, is Comedy Chaos at the Comedy Store. Tickets are going very quickly. It's Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo,
Delray.
Steve O, Anthony Jeselnik, Morgan Murphy, and Ian Bagg, all live, killing it. Get your tickets now. It's $20 at thecomedystore.com. So let's get into this. You're a rocker. You've been rocking forever. You've transitioned from playing music in rock bands to stand-up comedy.
Yep.
How'd you get into rock?
Oh, fuck, because I couldn't do comedy at 12.
Did you want to be a comedian first, and then you got into rock? Then you finally said, fuck it, I'm going to do comedy?
Well, they were both the same to me. That's the 70s, so, John Belushi was a rock star to me.
Yeah.
At the same time that Bon Scott was, or Robert Plant. There was no lines in the sand. They were just the same people. So I never thought of it as like
two different fucking
yeah,
arts.
not at all. I was like Saturday Night Live guy. I'm 51, so I watched the first seasons and stuff. But Kiss came around, and there was no kids back then weren't doing comedy. You know what I mean? Now you got comedy camps, YouTubes, and Vine fucking stuff.
Well, look at Tiffany Haddish. She was a comedy camp
Yep,
person.
exactly.
She's just blown up. And that's been dude, roughly a 25, 26-year journey.
Same with Melissa Villaseñor. She went to the comedy camp, and if there was a comedy camp when I was growing up, I would have went to that because.
So you loved comedy early. You got into rock, and then we're in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, Bay Area. I was a Bay Area guy, and I was just straight up rocking for like 25 years.
I started Vegas, and the rock scene, the comedy scene, we worked a lot together because we weren't allowed to work in the clubs in Vegas at the time. There were 3 of them. They wouldn't hire locals. They would just get guys out of LA. So we had to find stage time. So I would go and do rock shows. I would go while they were setting up new bands. They'd let me do stage time, and that's
super hard.
Yeah, super hard. But it really, I was able to do comedy in like Vietnam, right? So we would work with these great bands, and they would always say, "Man, it's like, how do you do it, man? How do you do it alone?" I always thought, like, comedians in a weird way are like rock stars who could never sing.
Yeah.
Like, we just had to find a way to get on stage, and you always see rock stars kind of want to be comedians too. And
That's how my
go on solo
podcast
tour.
started.
Oh,
you know
really?
what I mean? I figured, well, I can interview all my rock star buddies and ask them if they ever wanted to be a comic. You know what I mean? That's how that was the idea of it. At the end, I ask them that. Of course, we go through their lives, and then I go, "Hey, did you ever want to do comedy?" Because when you're on the tour bus, man, it gets fucking boring. And you get guys, you got the classic joker, the one you're like, just shut the fuck up. You got the awesome, speedy, dry guy that can rip on everyone like this fucking tour guy,
Yeah.
And then you got the pranker, the one that's fucking, putting shit in your chili and, lighting fucking M80s under your door and poking holes in your condoms, that kind of shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's...
you're fucking pranked on you. You have a
got
kid for
AIDS.
18. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like there's all different kinds of comedy going on the road. Even I guarantee, even with the most serious bands like, say, Wilco or Radiohead, I guarantee there's dudes in Radiohead fucking that are crazy funny and doing shit to each other.
Yeah, but they'll be art. I see them as alt comics, though. They'd be alty.
Well, that's your alt hate. I understand where that comes from. You know what I mean? Sam's always got to poke the alt guy. Yeah. I like it both. You know what I mean? Some of my favorite comics are alt guys.
Oh,
Brett Weinbach.
I mean, for me, yeah. But I see him as a regular comedian.
Right. Well, I see that as it's the same thing back in high school. You know what I mean? Like, I had long hair, and I would always hear these, girls that were into The Cure, these goth girls, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's a rocker." You know what I mean? And it's just like,
So
you're
weird,
just going to judge someone from their look or whatever without even going through my record collection. And also, that's an industry thing where, like, grunge and hair metal and acid rock and psychedelic rock, it's like people need some kind of teams, which I don't get it. To me, it's just all fucking art.
Well,
How about it's just art?
What's very interesting is, like, I feel like hair metal fell in the 90s, where no matter how hard they rocked, nobody gave a shit because they were looking for grunge. Like last night, you were at the Comedy Store, and we'll get into our discussion, but last night, the Comedy Store was just fucking fire.
Right.
And I was like, dude, this is murder fest. And sometimes you're like, does it even matter anymore because they just want these bisexual, biracial fucking kids to do comedy, And now I know how, like, these guys felt like towards when grunge came in, and they were probably putting out this amazing shit. No one's like, "Oh, you're not wearing a flannel." Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's different in comedy because every 15 minutes at the store, we got a different style completely. And the people seem to like it all. And they give a shit, It's like, you're just hunting and you're just sniping a couple fans at a time. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not going to be the entire room, but 2 guys followed you on Instagram that night. That's 2 more in your army. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it takes a long time, but eventually, like Burr, 20 years, that didn't, all those guys, 20, 25 years, I know you've been doing it forever, but me, like, I've only been doing it 7.5 years, so I got to sit back for a minute and go, I can't compare myself, not comedy-wise, but draw-wise, with 25-year guys.
Right.
Where with rock, it's the opposite. The new guy is the hot shit, and the other stuff is like, like a 25-year band, unless you're the Dead or Fish or fucking Pearl Jam or whatever with long AC/DC. Most of the people are like too old to go see shit. They're like, I don't leave the house. But it's the opposite with comedy.
I like a mixed bag of comedy, though, too. But let's get into our thing. We want to have you on because, you're one of our favorites. And we were thinking, like, what could we bring Dean on to talk about? And we wanted to talk about the occult and rock. We did a show earlier about the devil and rap. So we want to go into the occult. And its influence on metal and rock and all that stuff. And we want to start off with like Jim Morrison. And like Jim Morrison's a very interesting story because sometimes in entertainment there's always a story going on why this guy hit or what happened in their background that kind of pushed them into entertainment, and why Jim Morrison has a very interesting story because his dad was Admiral George S. Morrison. He was commander of the U.S. Naval Forces, and he was in the Gulf of Tonkin. Do you know what that is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he was basically
He was a badass.
He was a badass. But there's also something that went on with this. This Battle of the Tonkin became a false flag, which they talked about this later. There's a false flag involved. Here, it's up there, right there. Nope, that's him as a kid. Yep.
Yeah,
And basically, they used this false flag to draw America in to the Vietnam War.
Right.
And
he's the reason the Vietnam War kicked off.
Yeah, 100%.
It's all fake stuff.
And there's also, and this will be an episode for another day, but the studio in which Jim Morrison recorded in on what's it called, Laurel Canyon?
Yeah, you ever heard about this? It's a military intelligence studio, and it's also for production for films and TV. Is back in Laurel Canyon.
Wow, I never heard of that.
Yeah.
I knew that they recorded quite a bit in their own studio right there on Santa Monica and La Cienega there, and he'd stay in that hotel. They had an office there, and then he'd drink at Barney's. That was like his triangle right there. That shit hotel. You could still get his room. Motel, the Jim Morrison Motel.
Well, there's some interesting stuff about Jim Morrison because he basically was into the occult at a very early age, and he talks about this experience that kind of moved him, and it's right here.
And my mother and father and a grandmother and a grandfather were driving through the desert at dawn, and a truckload of Indian workers had either hit another car or just, I don't know what happened, but there were Indians scattered all over the highway, bleeding to death. So the car pulls out and stops. That was the first time I tasted fear. I must have been about 4. Like a child, it's like a flower. His head is just floating in the breeze, man. The reaction I get now, thinking about it, looking back, is that the souls or the ghosts of those dead Indians, maybe 1 or 2 of them, were just running around, freaking out, and just leaped into my soul.
So, dude, from a very young age, man.
Well, they show that in the movie, which they covered it in the movie, which is great, in that Oliver Stone film, where he's looking at the bodies as they're driving by real slow, and one of them kind of turns into a wolf, like wolf eyes on him.
Yeah.
But, the great thing about Jim is he knew how to work mystique. That's
a big thing.
That's a big thing, man, in comedy and rock and roll. If you're going to look at, some of the biggest comics now, they've dropped off of Twitter and Instagram and everything. It's hard for you and I because we need people to know where the fuck we're going and stuff, which sucks. But with rock and roll, you go back to Zeppelin with Peter Grant. Peter Grant was their manager. He's one of the best managers of all time. And he was like, no, we don't play no Johnny Carson or Don Kirshner's rock show or any talk shows. You want to see this band, you got to come fucking see them and pay, and it was all mystique. And that's what Jim was a master of, He was definitely a master of that.
He's very much into the voodoo. He had a voodoo, his whole Mr. Mojo Rising.
Yeah, that was the turning around of his initials, you know, and the whole Indian dancing and stuff up there and conjuring up stuff, and he's into, and even, he's dating that black magic chick on the side.
100%,
yeah, he
dude.
fucked that chick for a while off of Side Sport of Pamela. But he was the king of that without being the obvious where, other bands, of course, are obvious Satan worshippers, and that's also all a scam, you know what I mean? Somebody asked me if Kiss was Satan band recently, because remember people said it stood for Knights in Satan's Service, you know, KISS, which is hilarious, you know. And,
Well, you've also heard that stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid.
well, fuck it, there you go. You know, but you know, Satan sells.
Satan
That's
sells.
the bottom line.
The voodoo sells.
Yeah.
All that sells. Like within. So he was very much into. We have this quote right here. I met the spirit of music. An appearance of the devil on the Venice Canal running. I saw Satan moving beside me, a fleshly shadow of my secret mind. So he's definitely into the dark side of stuff. He was very much into Aleister Crowley, which is a huge theme.
Right.
Aleister Crowley, he's featured on.
So have you ever heard of this album 13?
I haven't heard of that
A
record.
lot of people haven't. It's the only compilation album that the Doors put out.
That's crazy. I got all the records. I never seen that one.
Exactly, and
That's wild.
that's what got me thinking about it. And on the back of this album
Yeah.
is a very interesting photo where, upon first glance, it's just the whole group sitting around a bunch of rocks, and on the top of these rocks is a sculpture of a head. And
which is right here.
that
Yeah.
head is the head of Aleister Crowley.
Right.
And
It's interesting, you know, all that era of like Manson, what's going on in Laurel Canyon. A lot of people, it was pretty dark, you know, but I think that was just kind of a pushback of what was going on.
The Christian values.
Absolutely, you know, it's
Clean
just-
shaven.
especially Jim's family. You know, his dad was a full-blown military guy, and anything he could do probably to get away from that. You know, Aleister Crowley. You know that whole thing with Jimmy Page moving
Yeah, we'll get
into his
into that.
mansion. Yeah,
We got all that coming up.
yeah.
Jim would said that he admired Crowley, and he was someone who broken through to the other side.
Which is a huge theme you hear in
Yeah.
all this shit.
And in an interview, he once said, "I'm interested in anything about revolt, disorder, chaos, especially activity that appears to have no meaning."
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco. Right up the street was the Satanic Church there, the fucking
Anton LaVey?
Yeah, Anton LaVey, and that black house, you know, out in the avenues.
What was that like?
It's just like black house out there. You
Was
know?
it creepy?
Church of Satan.
How old were you?
Well, I mean, I think it's still there. Google that, will you? It might still be there, man. It's like, that was like a big thing, you know. The 70s were creepy all the way around, I think. If you look at all that stuff of, like, I was telling Sam, of, you know, you got the weirdest serial killers at the time. You got the SLA going on. And then you have Jim, there it is right there. Jim Jones, Guyana
this
Grape.
is what, a satanic house?
That's it. That's the Satanic Church, basically.
Yeah, this is Anton LaVey's house, the
Yeah.
Church of Satan.
Yeah.
I love how it's a garage. Like, you know,
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
park your car, like, just
Yeah.
go back to worship Satan
Yeah.
and park my car.
It's interesting because I talk to people that worship Satan, you know, and it's like nothing like what you think it is.
Yeah, we've
it's
had a couple shows on it.
Yeah, it's really like it's basically like an anti-believe in God thing more than it is like there's devil and hell and fire and sacrifices
Well,
and all
the
that.
big thing it is that they talk about this, it's more about just like, you know, we've had a couple episodes lately talking about the dark arts, Satan, Lucifer. A lot of people think it's Mother Nature. It's a connection with people around you. You're your own God. There's not this God up there. And it's really about love and connection.
Exactly.
And that there's this whole thing that throughout time, there's been this kind of smear campaign done on it because, you know, we know this is Conspiracy Theory podcast, that, you know, there's also like these pharmaceutical companies are putting out chemicals in these drugs you're taking that block empathy.
Yeah.
And that, you know, Lucifer is thought to be a female, and that's about empathy and connecting and showing love to your fellow, you know, a living being on Earth, and that the demonization and all that stuff was done on purpose so that people don't try to connect with that shit.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, hey, you know, it just comes all down to, you know, fear fear campaigns of
Yeah.
like, we want you to be a Christian, and everything else is just wrong.
Well, I was talking about this
everything.
on stage the other day. It's like, you guys know sin was just a bullshit thing,
Right.
You know, like there's some guy up in space with an iPad, like Chris Hardwick, giving points to people who fucking sin. You had anal, you get a point, you get a point, and it's like your driver's license. You get too many points, you
Yeah.
gotta go down to hell. And then when you really look at it, the only thing that matters is if you produce more of them.
Yeah.
Like it's like when you take a step back and you look at it all, you're like, it was such a con job.
Yeah, man, the whole thing is just crazy to me. It's just like, you know, if the bottom line is, it comes down to, if you don't believe in what we believe in, then you're just wrong. You got to be into Satan, or there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And everything, and like you actually look at like what, you know, people who are into this isn't even Satanism if you look at Aleister Crowley, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you believe in? Believed in Themius?
Well, he was a British occultist that he died in 47. So
Right.
he was around the turn of the century. And he was in practice ceremonial magic. He was pansexual, which is fucking awesome.
What's pansexual?
It's like he was the first Bowie, basically.
Basically, you Andy Dick.
Oh, all right. I got
You're
it.
into anything.
Oh,
You just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
hit holes and
Right,
suck
yeah.
dicks.
Yeah, nice.
And he was
Yeah.
rumored to be British intelligence spy.
Another connection. Is that weird? Like Jim Morrison had that dad thing.
Yeah.
You know, so interesting is that Brian Callen's a very good friend of mine. His father was very high up in British Central Intelligence.
Wow.
So interesting, right?
BCI?
Yeah, really high up in that shit. And that's why you bring up conspiracies to him, he shuts down very hard.
Wow.
It's just so interesting.
Yeah, he founded a religion called Thelema. And he identified himself as the prophet trusted with guiding humanity into the Eon of Horus, and claimed to have contacted a supernatural entity known as ayahuasca. And
Well, you know,
there's some weird shit, you know?
I think that, you know, some of the greatest music is surrounded by the darkest shit in life. All the greatest
That's
music.
the same thing with comedy.
Oh, same thing. I
Like
mean,
normal
you know,
people aren't funny.
No, I mean, you know, the most brutal, dark stuff is the greatest. And the Doors, if we're going to get into that, is just one of the greatest bands of all time.
Right.
You know, I mean, that guy created the front man. The mystique of the front man, the dangerous front man, the outlaw front man. Drugs, sex, leather pants, just fucking fuck you, fuck the police and everything, and took it all the way. Jail and everything. Ruined his career from that Miami show. He didn't even show his dick. You know, later on, total proof, didn't show his dick, ruined the career, you know, but willing to burn it to the ground for what he believed in. You know, too hard to do now. You can't even get something going, and then you get it going, you're going to burn it to the ground.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I
so
mean?
hard, right?
It's so hard, man.
Because there's also a million people doing it now. You know, it's like
yeah.
it's almost now more people go into entertainment than go into real jobs. It seems like. I know we're in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
but it just seems like everybody's trying to have something. They have a Twitter. You have Instagram models. You ever watch them do like a Instagram live? They have like I literally went to Metallica.
Yeah.
I live streamed Sanitarium to 3 people.
Yeah.
Okay? I go, where the fuck is everybody? I go, there's this black stripper eating a Cobb salad
Yeah.
to 3,000 people.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it, you know. And I keep, I just keep fucking banging my head like, you know, once in a while something fucking slips through. You know what I mean? And the people grab onto it, and you're like, how did that happen? You know what I mean? I talk about this all the time. How does somebody have 1 million followers and the other person has none? As far as artists, you know what I mean? And that buildup is the biggest mystery. That's way bigger than Satanism. You know, like the mystery of it. Like what? You know?
Well, there is something. I mean, sometimes you know why somebody. And then you
Yeah.
go on the show, you're like, okay, this person has 1.5 million people. I never heard of them.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
But then again, I live by the Hollywood Bowl, and I see bands sell out the Hollywood Bowl. I've never heard of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you just see, like, floods of people going, who are these people?
Yeah.
And this is a band that has a whole reality, a whole following, everything, and I've never even heard of them.
Well, that's part of getting old or not caring about music. Like people always I do that bit about, you know, they say there's no good music anymore, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, that's just because music to you only serves as a time machine back to when you were single with no bills and everything. It's just a happiness chamber. It was never about the art for you. It was just like, this is when we drank and drove and got chicks and no bills.
You know what else I think that can be applied to? Saturday Night Live. They always say your favorite cast is when you were like in 8th or 9th grade.
Well, I love that on that movie. What was that called, Aaron? That one about the, came out about a year ago. It's great. The one about the improv troupe, and one guy gets on like the fake Saturday Night Live.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's a great.
Don't Think Twice.
Yeah.
Mike Birbiglia directed
Yeah, it's great film. Great film. And they're watching the fake Saturday Night Live, and the guy goes, man, our era was so much better. And they go, really? Was it? Or were we just, like young? You know what I mean? Each one, like my era. But my era is definitely the best.
But that really happened to some kid. That really happened to Jada Keta Prada.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend he was in a digital sketch troupe.
And they grabbed them all but
They
him.
grabbed 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 people in the band. They grabbed 2 of them, and they left the 3rd behind, and they eventually hired the 3rd guy, but then it didn't work out.
Right, yeah. It's,
Lorne Michaels, cold-blooded.
I don't knock him, though. You know how bad this business is. You got to be evil behind doors to make it. Have a show on 40 fucking years or something.
Yeah.
You're not some saint behind the doors.
Can't be, dude. You got to make hard decisions.
You got to make hard decisions, man. It's like fucking, it's like when you fire the fat guy in the band. Yeah. He's like your best friend, and you start getting heat, and the A&R guy goes, look, man, the fat bass player's got to go. And you go, but he came up with us. And they go, I don't give a fuck who the guy is.
Yeah,
we got a sexy dude from Oklahoma. He's moving into that spot. You want a record deal or not?
Yeah, no morals.
Cold-blooded.
No more. And that's the roughest choice to put on you and your 2 friends. Like, fuck, do we give up everything and hang with our bro? But I always say, really look at the guy and ask if he really wanted to be there anyway. Because if you really wanted to be there,
he wouldn't be fat and sloppy.
You got to tone up. Yeah. You got to fucking...
Got to shred it
or
out.
guys that aren't that... Not even fat. Guys that aren't that good on bass. They were, or on guitar or whatever. You would have got better if you really wanted to do it.
Aaron, why are
Guys,
you angry?
I'm right here.
Oh,
this podcast blows up. I will work out. I swear to
Aaron,
God.
get a
Kick
double
you
X.
out of the band, dude.
You're gone,
Play
Aaron.
bass licks.
So Aleister Crowley, we see him pop up all over the place. He's actually, which is so interesting to find out, he was a level 33 Freemason, right?
In the Scottish Rite, which is the gnarly one.
But what happens down the line is he ends penniless. He dies penniless, right?
That's
you
how
know
it
how
goes.
much you gotta fuck up
Yeah.
to be a Freemason? A level 33, which we thought was the highest level. According to one of our guests, there's a level 39 that nobody's ever heard of. But to be a level 33 and end up broken and penniless?
I mean, his whole thing was, do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Yes, which you see pop up a lot. And one group it popped up with were the Beatles.
Oh yeah, they rocked on that too. That gets into the LSD era. You know
Now look at this.
Do you own this vinyl? It's the
I-
Beatles
I've seen
yesterday
this.
and today.
I've seen this. Yeah.
For those that aren't watching and just listening, so it's just, our
It's the
friendly...
Beatles called Yesterday and Today.
Yeah.
It's
So-
hilarious when you look at that. Because, that's Wasp in 1988.
Yeah.
I Fuck Like a Beast with the babies cut off. That's also, you get into Alice Cooper, early on, $1 Billion Baby, all any kind of dead babies and blood, that's going to shock people,
But it's the Beatles, though. It's
Yeah.
the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like,
And
we don't
also-
even think about that. Like
Sgt.
the
Pepper's.
Yeah.
You know how they've got everyone behind them?
Yep.
Aleister Crowley's one of the heads there.
Yeah. Well, they even said they got into that dark era, Look at Helter Skelter. What an amazing song that is, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Charles Manson
Charles
loved it,
Manson
too.
picks that shit up, The thing about what
How
blows
pissed do you think they were when they spelled the name wrong? When they did the Helter
Yeah,
Skelter?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Helter,
yeah.
what the fuck? You spelled that
that's
moment.
that's
you
the
ruined it.
Manson's crew.
Yeah.
They can't spell. Why would they be following
You're
that
hot,
guy?
but you're illiterate.
Yeah.
So this is the Yellow Submarine.
It's like a promotional video. For those listening at home again, it's a picture of the Beatles, and, it's the lovable bastards during the Yellow Submarine era. And John and Paul are in the front, and they're doing very weird hand signals,
Yeah.
which, I mean, it's the A-OK symbol, which is Paul doing.
Yeah.
And it's what we would know nowadays is like the devil horns is what's John doing.
Which Gene Simmons recently tried to patent that and say that it was his. And
Well, Dio said that long time
Dio
ago.
said that also.
Remember when Britney was doing it?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Dio
yeah.
was like, hey, you stole that from me.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's claimed it. I love that one. That's my favorite because I saw Tipper Gore actually say that right there on the...
Hold on, let's explain to the people listening
Yeah.
at home. What Ryan's put up on our screen is three hands are up, kind of like mannequin hands almost, and they each are doing the kind of it's okay symbol.
Yeah.
And what the thought is and this is like to an earlier episode, you guys who listen all the time, our Kern episode. CERN episode where their logo is the 666. Well, they say the OK symbol that you do with your hand is 666.
Right. Well, what Tipper Gore said, which was during that PMRC big battle back in the 80s to get labeled records, was she did it like this, and she said this was a 6, then that was a 6, and then this was a 6. You know what I mean? And this all comes down to my recent merchandise. I made.
I saw that.
I love merchandise. I love 666 because it's hilarious to me that anyone thinks that means the devil. Of course, I guess it's in the Bible somewhere. I don't care about the Bible, never have, but it's in there.
Right.
The number, it's like the number will be 666, whatever. So I put 666 on a shirt on a BMX number plate. And a guy emailed me, and he said, I'm a big fan of yours, but I'm really disappointed in this shirt. And I said, dude, if you're disappointed in this shirt, definitely stop following me now. Because whatever you believe in, I'm totally cool with. But if you think that means anything, man, you're out of your mind. And I recently went to North Carolina with Burr, and I was like, oh, these people still believe in God.
Dude,
it's a trip.
Look at Josh Meyer's show on the Comedy Central. It's called the Comedy Jam.
Yeah.
It was called the goddamn Comedy Jam.
Right.
And they did it for one season, I think, or they got a shit ton of complaints.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you drive through parts of this country.
It's unbelievable.
There are statues. There's so much information out there, and they just choose not to listen to it.
Well, the really shocking part about it is like that anybody thinks that numerology and all that kind of stuff, it's just hilarious and fun. And I can't believe that it still works in heavy metal. A band could come out right now, Ghost recently in the last 5 years. Ghost, they're like, oh God, that's a devil worship band. And I said, that still works? Because that's just some guys in a room going, all right, so you're going to believe in Satan and it sells records. And they go, that couldn't still work. And they go, it does. Can you believe it? And they laugh. North Carolina. It's the oldest trick in the book. The band believes in the devil. The mom doesn't want you to have it, so the kid wants it because mom says it's wrong. If the mom just said, get that, they'd be like, oh, yeah, cool. It's like the Zappa kids. I said, how did you never do drugs in the 80s? It was everywhere. And they go, oh, our dad said, just do drugs if you want. I don't care. And they were like, oh, I don't want to do them. Yeah,
that's the whole thing with legalization of drugs. They say wherever they legalize drugs, actual drugs going down, the more open sexually it is, the more people don't really even care. Like they say people are like having less sex in high school because it's pretty much open now.
Yeah.
People it's like there was this whole saying by the Kiss. They asked where the best groupies. They said Utah, and they go, why? Well, because they have so much bent up energy, that they want to get out and they want to get weird because they just.
I'm getting my dad back right now.
I want to get a little crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like that woman. Did you see her last week? She was going crazy over the Teen Vogue. They were teaching you how to do anal in there properly. Had she lost her mind, And then somebody on Twitter, it was great. I can't remember who it was like, what, you think kids aren't having, teen anal?
Yeah.
Fucking what planet are you living in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, kids, don't grab a magazine and go, I knew nothing about marijuana. Fucking, I read this mag, High Times, and now I'm in.
Yeah.
It's never that. It's fucking, I found out about everything in when I was 8 in a tree fort. And the guy's like, yeah, there's dicks and pussies. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And then there's this band called Kiss. You're like, with fire, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, now it's just like everything. The kids don't give a shit anymore because it's everywhere. But there are times where like bands say they're influenced. I don't think it's necessarily the devil. I think it's more about just Aleister Crowley's "Do as Thy Wilt," his whole thing. We talked about earlier, Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page was a huge Aleister Crowley
Big
fan.
time, real stuff there. Bought his mansion, moved in there.
But yeah, bought the Boleskine house, right?
Yep.
Well,
Do you know the background of the Boleskine house?
I don't, but I know I've seen many photos, and it's incredible.
So what's crazy is that before Alistair bought this house, it was the site of a church that burned down with the entire congregation inside of it.
Wow.
It's got its graveyard there, and he's like, oh, fuck yeah, this is a perfect place to do
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Page ends up buying Alistair's house that he built there.
Yeah, I love this house. And you know what? I don't give a fuck who lived in it before. It's right up there with the Amityville Horror House. I love that house. I would move it. They go, oh, two people, a guy murdered his whole family, and it's like, good, I get a deal.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Discount, right? Fucking, let me tell you something right now. Every apartment in Hollywood, someone has killed themselves that didn't make it in this business. Every one of them. There's not one and they don't ever reveal it to you.
Yeah.
You're definitely even in maybe 2, 3 guys if you're in a building from the 30s.
Yeah, right.
There's been a death in that from
Yeah,
a guy didn't get a
100%.
record deal or a movie. Boom. You know
yeah,
what I
dude,
mean?
this is like some weird Indian burial ground shit. It's a weird story too. It was a church,
Yeah.
and everybody in the church died, which
Wow.
makes.
Did somebody burn it down
Yeah,
or something?
something had to happen.
Yeah, did you
right?
guys read that? What happened? Like, and how were they all trapped in there? Did the guy lock the doors?
Yeah, that sounds like straight up. I was telling Sam, the more I look into this, I was like, if this was a plot line of a movie, I'd be
Yeah.
like, this is just shitty, right?
Yeah, it never said how they died. It just said they all died in a fire.
So then it could be a myth, you know what I mean? It's
But yeah,
like,
I mean, we're called tinfoil hat. We're basically disinformation agents.
So
you guys
they
already know
loved
that.
Crowley so much that they actually put.
They engraved on Led Zeppelin 3 on the actual
yeah, I've been
vinyl.
trying to get this one, man. I keep looking. It's on the first pressing of that Led Zeppelin 3. And Marin has this one. He's the one that hit me to this, actually. About 2 months ago, we were in Denver. And he goes, do you got the Satan one? And I was like, Satan one? What one? He goes, oh, yeah. It's engraved on the inside. I've been looking for it for a while now.
Yeah, right where like the label is. It says, "Do what thou wilt." Literally engraved, all like cursive, looking pretty.
And then there was the kind of outrage, so they pulled it.
Right. Oh, of course. I mean, that stuff gives you press. They know what they're doing. They're going, all right, here's what we're going to do. The first ones are going to have this Satan stuff on the inside. Then they're going to make a complaint. They're going to pull it, and then we'll get all kinds of press from it, and then we'll sell the regular one. It's the oldest trick in the book.
See, right here we have this quote from them where they're talking about how, like, they really got, this whole notion of Satanism isn't really what it is. It's this belief in the divine female and the worship of the male and the female, and how they were pushing this really, really hard into their lyrics and stuff like that. There walks a lady we all know who shines white light, and we want to show. And that was basically about the stairway to heaven, man. And it's just like the worship of the male and the female, which goes back to like what really like Satanism was back in the day.
Yeah, in a 2002 interview with Guitar World magazine, Jimmy Page said, "If something really magical is coming through, then you follow it. We try to take advantage of everything that was being offered to us."
I believe in that too. I mean, like where do the ideas come from? When you're on stage and you're riffing or you're in the studio writing tunes, wherever they come from, something channels through you. And all of a sudden you've got fucking 5 of the most incredible records of all time. Who knows where that came from? That could be spirits and fucking ghosts and these humans, I always said that I felt like some people are put on this planet for a barometer of when the planet gets too shitty, they drop like a Kurt Cobain down. He's only going to be here a little while. He's going to show everybody, hey, we got to get the barometer back up of good shit. And then he's gone. All the guys, you know what I mean? I believe in that.
I totally believe that.
It's a barometer, and if people aren't paying attention, they go, you fucking assholes.
Are you an atheist, though?
No,
Are you spiritual?
I don't, you know what? I don't really think I'm anything, you know what I mean? It's like, I know that it's science. We're fucking here. That's weird as shit, you know what I mean? But I don't understand, and if you believe in something just to get you through the day, I'm more power for that. I love people that believe in something, but if you believe in something and then look down upon other people that don't, then you're an asshole. You know, because you're going against your total religion. The first thing should be love, and I don't care what you do, just don't kill, rape, or fucking, you know, or steal from a person.
No,
You know
I
what
get
mean?
that.
Whatever, you know?
I get that. I
Leave the
totally
animals
get
alone.
that.
Were you born in California?
Yeah.
I have this theory that, I mean, if you look at the history of the world, California is the edge of all existence. Like, we went from Europe, we got out of Africa, went to Europe, we got the fuck out of Europe, and then we never stopped. Assholes stayed in, like, Boston. Sorry, Boston, I know you guys are listening. And then they kept on moving all the way to California, and then where you're from, San Francisco, I mean, the summer of love, like, we just lost all the bullshit along the way until you just got to the coast and you're like, what the fuck? Like, just love everyone, don't fuck with little dogs or kids or innocents, and carry on, recycle.
That's it, man. It's just, I was born in Yosemite. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's, to me, it's pretty magical, you know, and when I go back there now, it's like, I actually feel, as weird as this is, I feel like, oh, this is heaven right here. Because the weirdness of when I go through the tunnel, there's a tunnel there, and then you come out into the valley, and there's Half Dome and El Capitan there. As soon as I come through there, it's weird. It's just like a zoom, like, whoa. You know, like that tunnel just blocks all the fucking evil of the world. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it's a hard force to leave there. Like, because I'm there, and I'm like, I should just stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I should just stay here.
That's freaking awesome.
It's pretty insane.
So we get into David Bowie next.
Speaking of pansexuals.
Yeah, speaking of pansexuals.
Love it. I love that.
He was very much into Aleister Crowley as well. And here's a song called...
Quicksand off the album Hunky Dory.
Yeah, here it is.
I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform of imagery. I'm living in a silent film, portraying Himmler's sacred realm.
Himmler, that's interesting.
Reality. I'm frightened by the total goal, drawing to the ragged hole, and I ain't got the power anymore.
Yeah, dude.
I love that early Bowie, man.
I love him,
That's
dude.
Just, oh, God.
But that's good. You look at all the bells and whistles now they use, and that's just a dude strumming a guitar, singing like a motherfucker.
Yeah, man, that's some of the best stuff on the planet. You know what I mean?
Now, Himmler's very interesting because Himmler was Hitler's, like, mystic guy.
Yeah, he was
That was Hitler's dude?
Himmler was the occult. He was the head of the SS, and he was the main guy about the occult. And when you think of Indiana Jones and they show the Nazis trying to collect different, like, artifacts across the world, this is what Himmler was really trying to do.
Now, there was something very interesting about David Bowie, you were telling me, that he got busted at one point.
Yeah, you know about this? So Bowie and Lemmy, who, if you've been in L.A. long enough and went to the Rainbow Room, you got to drink with them.
Love it.
Yeah. They both collected Nazi memorabilia.
Yeah, of course. His whole apartment was that. Lemmy's, yeah. Crazy swords and outfits. He had the outfits. And
it's been broken down to me where these guys grew up in England. They went through the war and the aftermath, or, you know, grew up afterwards. And this is their way of taking the power back from the Nazis. And in, like, I think the early 90s, late 80s, Bowie was going through Berlin customs, and they're like, what the fuck's all this? And he just had a suitcase filled with Nazi memorabilia.
Wow.
And in Germany, that's like a no-no. You can get, like, some serious... There's like an anti-anything Nazi memorabilia.
Well, Nazis were garbage. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
But man, they were in some interesting shit. Now, I'm not condoning anything they did or saying they did was right, but if you take away the emotion of that stuff, you take a look at, we've said this before, just like they were all into mysticism. They were all into like the dark arts. It's like
That's
really.
the drugs, man. They were like you know.
They
like,
invented crystal meth.
Exactly.
That's why it's so awful.
Yeah, they invented crystal meth, and I think what happens when you get into, I don't know if you've ever stayed up long periods of time. I have like 5 to 6, 7
that's
days.
long. I've never done that.
Yeah, when you stay up a long time, sleep deprivation, your mind goes to weird rabbit holes of like, wow, I wonder what that's all about. And you'll dive down I couldn't imagine being high now with YouTube and the internet. Back when I was staying up a long time, they didn't have that. It was just 2, 3 guys talking in the living room, grabbing a book and an album cover. Oh yeah, look at this. I read this, But could you imagine? Like, I mean, your brain just goes weird places and it's going to make you into weird shit,
Yeah, I mean, like, the reason the Nazis probably lost the war was that they were smoking meth trying to suck their own dicks in bunkers. They fucking stop fighting each other. They're like, Franz, we're getting
man.
shot at. Go, go, go. They're trying to blow each other.
Fucking just up too long, man.
Yeah.
Up too long. You're missing the wrong. What was that? It's like a knife in your head. You die.
Yeah, dude. Weird focus.
Yeah, Bowie was deep into the cult, and in the 70s particular, during the making of Station album, he feared that he'd invoked an evil demon, that witches were trying to steal his semen and to make a satanic love child.
I never heard any of that about Bowie, and I'm a big Bowie guy. That's wild. That's like early Bowie, I guess, pre-Ziggy, and all that. Because that's the interesting thing about Bowie, if you really think, was that just one of his other characters? You know what I mean? Was this whole thing just a thing also? Like, well, first I'll be a saint worshiper, and I didn't get famous, or not famous, but, that's my art, and now I'm going to be Ziggy, and now I'm the Thin White Duke, and was it just a thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I break down Bowie almost by his drug usage through the years. It was like acid when he was Ziggy, and then it moved on to when he was all fucking coked out, and then he eventually became all junked out, and he was just like, his music reflected it. And at the end, like, I mean, say what you will about the guy, I fucking love him, but
I love Bowie.
that last album, those last videos, is
that
weird.
thing's great.
It's so it's like he literally knew. He was like, yep, I'm about to exit this dimension. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he knew, like a year out. Like, I was reading this stuff about, like, he would go to this deli in New York every day, like in the neighborhood, and he was just like, they were like, whoa, this guy's dying, but they never said anything. Like a year back, you know what I mean? They're like, whoa, like no one saw him. He wasn't out.
So, I mean, we obviously, Ozzy Osbourne was big into, we'll hear
the
this
reverse lyrics.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, like, I don't want to do too much of this song because we have a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But obviously, Mr. Crowley, let's not even run it.
got
Dude,
it.
Mr. Crowley, we heard that.
And that,
Everybody knows that. And Iron Maiden had, a bunch of Aleister Crowley stuff in there. Would they have?
Well, yeah,
Well,
actually,
the greatest record ever, Number of the Beast. I mean, it's
that's
all
the
Satan.
reference to him, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the lead singer of
Bruce Dickinson.
Bruce Dickinson actually made a documentary on Aleister Crowley.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool one.
Wow, I never saw that because it's interesting because Bruce didn't write any of the lyrics. Steve Harris did, the bass player.
Really?
Yeah, so that's interesting if you have one guy in your band that's into Satan and he's like, here's the lyrics. And you're like, well, dude, I'm not really into that. It's like, well, that's it's the same thing with Slayer, the guitar player wrote all the stuff, and he'd be like, here you go, Tom. And Tom is supposedly like a Christian.
He has a folk album.
Yeah, right. He's living out in Texas and stuff, as a Christian. But meanwhile, your guitar player is like, yeah, fucking die by the sword.
You're going to go August 5th?
No, I've come up with a thing.
I got you a job on that.
Oh. I heard it here.
I've seen Slayer probably 30 times. My new thing is now I don't go see bands I've seen a million times anymore.
Right
Even Metallica?
After the last time I saw Metallica a couple weeks ago, I opened for them out there at Rockin' the Range. I was like, I'm good. Unless it's a club, you know what I mean? But and it's no knock. I love these guys, but as I sit there at the show 39, Metallica, show 55 or something, I'm like, fuck, I could be on stage doing comedy right now. And that's all I think about while I'm there, and it ruins it for me.
No, I get it,
I'm
dude.
like, I saw these guys every fucking record, every era, and it's never going to peak my fucking blood level up to that again.
So true.
So I want to really quick, Aaron found an actual recording of Aleister Crowley, which is crazy because the guy was around. No, I mean Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. So,
All white guys look the same to Sam.
so here's a little of him like
here's his
talking.
creepy voice.
Rick, oh.
First, the cabinet of spirit in the systems Dr. D and Miss Redwood Kelly. See Equinox, Volume 1, Number 7 and Number 8. Oh, so loose there is go yard blota.
Hold on. Hold on. Stop. What
Sounds
is he
like
saying
reverse.
right there?
Sounds like reverse
What
talking,
is he
right?
saying right there?
Sounds
dude?
like
I
reverse
don't need to play
talking.
that. Where you got Aaron's grandma here staring at Ari's asshole? I don't need to have some demons in here.
Yeah, all of a sudden we get a fucking chant, some kind of weird voodoo chant on us, Satan chant, and I crash on the way home.
But so an interesting thing is that you've always heard like our past episode we talked about how Jay-Z and all these hip-hop guys are into this devil worshiping and stuff like that, and you see them doing all this interesting stuff.
Yeah, the okay stuff.
And that's supposed to be back to the Illuminati,
Yeah,
which
of
is so
course.
interesting and they confuse it because this is a very much an Aleister Crowley thing, but he wasn't. There's two different eyes. There's the eye of
Providence, which is on the back of the dollar bill.
Right.
And what people mistake that for is the Eye of Horus, which
yeah,
is
and
the
it's two
Egyptian
different
god.
eyes.
Right, two different eyes for the Illuminati logo
Yes.
we're talking about, right.
The eye of Providence is the Illuminati, right?
Correct.
The eye of
Horus.
Horus
The
is
dollar bill.
No. It's
It would be the occult symbol, and that's why a lot of Crowley's teachings and books and writings all like beckon back to Egyptian times, because Horus was the son of Osiris and Isis, and Osiris was the god of the underworld. Isis was the divine god of the earth spirit. So
You see a lot of those on the pyramids, sketched into the pyramids. Those
Totally.
triangles with the eyes and the snakes and the
100%. Now this is the interesting thing.
check this
Oh,
out.
there you go. That's great.
When I was researching this, I found something really interesting. So Naomi Campbell,
Naomi Campbell.
Yeah.
she bought this island out in Turkey.
How about buying an island?
Yeah.
So that's-
They're pretty cheap, actually. I recently researched it. They're cheap.
What?
Yeah, you think they're a lot of money. They're cheap. And people just eventually give them up. They're like, this isn't cool.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was looking into it. You can get them for like $100,000, some islands,
What?
Yeah, there's a shitload of them. And everybody thinks he owns his own island. They act like it's crazy. And it's like, nobody wants that at all. And then you got to build all kinds of shit on it. But look at
So
that.
she built an eco-friendly house on
That's
it.
sick.
That's the side view. This is the aerial view.
Look at
Oh,
that, dude.
yeah. The Prince logo.
No, the Prince logo. That's the eye.
I know what it is. I'm just saying.
For those listening, her house is constructed like a glass dome.
That's sick.
And then the aerial view, it's the center of the pupil of the Eye of Horus. And it's it's a good reason to come check it out on YouTube and leave nothing but
Go
positive.
to
That is awesome.
youtube.com/Sam Triple.
I actually love that because it's
that
like, she went all out to get people to talk about her.
So when I went down this well of weirdness.
This is the crazy thing. We got
Yeah.
two things we're going to end on, dude,
Okay.
that are crazy.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I kind of hope it is. There's a woman named Pauline Pierce.
Pauline Pierce. Remember
she
that.
was a mother. She had a husband who was a publishing executive, a CEO, and she had two daughters or two children. And in 1924, she went to Paris, France, and she partied with friends of Aleister Crowley. And in 1925, she had a daughter.
What year did she go to France?
She went in 1924 in, I believe, September, and in June of 1925, she had a daughter named Barbara Pierce.
Oh, she fucked Crowley, huh?
So Barbara Pierce,
Oh, shit.
Barbara Bush.
Barbara Bush. Wow.
so that means that our president is the grandson of Aleister Crowley.
Dude, how crazy is that?
I love that stuff. That's the kind of stuff that's great. You're like, what?
And so we have a photo up on the
Yeah.
website right now. I mean, it's all in the eyes and
Yeah,
like
oh,
the
yeah.
weird facial
Not
structure.
just in the eyes, it's in the face.
Well, it looks
Look
like
at
the
that.
same person. Same person.
It
Yeah.
looks like one's in drag.
Yeah.
And then here it is, a cross section.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
So-
there she is. Mrs. Crowley. Gang, gang, gang.
I just started saying that to her as she walked by.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it comes down to as we talk about occults and we talk about conspiracy theories and everything. One thing that blows my mind about conspiracies more than anything, more than anything, and it comes down to that Bill Hicks joke when I walked into the library and looked out the window, and I was like, there's no fucking way he shot Kennedy. You know what I mean? When you go there in Dallas.
Yeah.
When you go there, you go, there's no
we
fucking
did a
way.
episode on that
Right.
whole thing.
So, but my point is, every conspiracy, everyone, you go, whoa, that's some weird shit, and no one cares. No one cares.
Moving
you go,
right along.
No one fucking cares. You go, wait a minute, they killed the president. No one cares.
Yeah.
Because there's all these people who go, nah, they didn't. And it's like, nah, they pretty much did. Somebody did. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
All conspiracies, no one cares. It comes down to that, like, the health of it. I just watched a documentary on the food, you know, and they're like, well, you know, everybody died from cancer from this. Yeah, but I just eat.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, fuck. Well,
Okay,
you know.
so I don't want to get too weird on you, but, you know, there's recently been a passing of Chester Bennington. Bennington, and he was good friends with Chris Cornell.
Right.
Now, recently this guy, Chris King, claims to be best friends with all of them, and he says that they were murdered. Now, we had talked about it when it happened. We were all talking about the county club, and I want to get into the Chris Cornell thing because then get into the Chester thing.
Totally.
But this is the Chris Cornell police call.
Right.
Real quick. So let's get into this real quick. This is the original call.
84 Alpha 142 receiving. How do you copy? I'm on scene with a 53-year-old male, pulseless and happy on arrival of crew. Unknown downtime, found by roommate in a hotel at MGM. Patient did have a exercise rubber band around his neck. Suggestions of possible strangulation, trauma to the back of the head.
I knew about that. Trauma to the back of the
Depression.
head.
Now, what they don't hear, and this what goes on, is that he had 9 broken ribs.
Whoa.
9 broken ribs.
Is that from falling off the thing?
What do you think it is, dude?
Well, here's what you get into, because they said about the head trauma, and then when they watched the footage from the show early on, you could see head trauma. He had something going on in the back of his head. That's what they said. You know what I mean? When I look at that whole thing, and this is just me, I felt like he was into rubbing one out, choking himself.
Yeah, autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
Who's not?
Yeah, I feel that he was carrying that kid around like a junkie carries noodles around. You don't just have that stuff, you know what I mean? And you carry it around, it's like your gig.
What?
You know, the rubber band, the band, and the mountain climbing rig. It's like a thing. You know, to me, it felt like that was his thing. And it fucking, you know, he fucked up. And I think maybe earlier in that day he was doing that and fell and hit his head. You know what I mean?
It's possible. Now,
Right.
this guy, he has this website called The Metal Den, right?
Right.
And he puts this thing together that, just hear me out on this. And they always put this out.
Yeah.
Hillary did this, Hillary did this. Of
course.
But supposedly Chris Cornell had a foundation with his wife.
Right.
That dealt with abusive children, helping abusive kids, and that they had been working in Haiti with Hillary Clinton, and that he had found out that she was in connection with some weird shit.
Right.
That one of the ladies that she was working with, real quick, got busted. Okay,
Drug
here's her
money.
name. Laura Silsby, right?
Yep.
Got busted trying to smuggle kids out of Haiti. And that he kind of got freaked out by that and was like, hold on, we're trying to help kids. You're kidnapping kids and selling them into sex trafficking, okay? And a big part of this is a guy named Podesta, John Podesta. Now, I don't know if you know this about Chester, but he had a history of
I knew that.
Sexual molestation. And there's some weird shit about that because he lived with his father. His mother cheated on him, and they got divorced, and his dad got Chester in the divorce, and his father was involved in, I forget what city it was. I think it was state of Arizona. I don't know what city it was. But he was in charge with child trafficking, sex crimes, working for the police, and covering that stuff. Yet, his son was being molested for 7 years right under his own nose, which is a very weird thing.
Right.
A very weird thing. So, John Podesta has become like the boogeyman of child molestation. Now, if you saw on Netflix, they had the whole thing now with The Keeper. Did you see The Keeper? It's about I think it was Boston or Baltimore. Baltimore, this one priest would running like crazy sex scams in this all-girls school. Like would take these girls and give them out to these guys around. Some of them were cops and all that stuff. But within that, there was a talk that this guy, John Podesta, shows up. Because there was a guy that killed somebody named Skippy. Now, that was John Podesta's nickname is Skippy.
Right.
Right? So, here's this weird thing. Let me find this real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Here it is. Nope, that's not it. Basically, there's this whole thing that... where is this motherfucking thing, dude? John Podesta... Fuck, I can't find it, dude. But basically... Chester looks exactly like John Podesta. Like, not Chester Bennington, and John Podesta. Here we go.
There it is.
Let's see this. Looks exactly like him.
Wow. Well,
Look at this, man, right here. I mean, looks exactly like him, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
it's crazy. They're side by side there. Yeah.
You know?
So what are you saying? It's his son?
They're trying to say because they never said who his real dad. They showed his real dad. He doesn't look like him.
Oh, wow.
And he never mentioned who is the guy who molested him.
People get into this stuff, man. Like, how do you even think about it? You know, the one that blew me away the most was the day after the Boston Marathon bombing. Did you see those? It's just basically this guy was like, oh, the government did this. And they had all this footage. And you're going like, how the fuck in 10 hours does this guy already have all this of like they're showing the marathon and then they move these bloody people in, you know what I mean? Like, oh, and it was all fake, the guy was saying. Did you guys see that shit?
Yeah, dude. And
this
the guy's
10
in
hours
black.
later.
The guy's in all black?
Yeah,
with
all
the
black.
Punisher hats
yeah,
on?
what the fuck is that? Like 10 hours later, they're saying the Boston bombing was fake, you know?
I watched.
But the same thing with this. Like, who the fuck... Who even thinks about that?
There are weird things, though. There are weird. I'm not saying it's real. I'm just saying
I know.
A lot of stuff happens. You're like, well, this is connection to this is connection to this is connection to this.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucking creepy, dude. So I don't know what's going on.
So what you're saying is Cornell found out they were smuggling kids and then they had them killed, is what that guy was saying.
This is what they're saying.
Right.
And like, we're going to do one on Hillary Clinton's body count.
Right.
Because, like, listen, man, because I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life over a 3 or 4 year span where like 14 people I knew passed away from either drugs, alcohol, heart condition, cancer.
Well, if you read Behold a Pale Horse, you know, the guy, he's the last guy in the Kennedy, it says, I mean, he gives you the whole rundown of like the driver shot Kennedy and then, you know, I'm the only guy alive. He got killed 2 years ago over tax invasion.
Well, what happened was they sent him in and they ambushed him.
Yeah.
What's his name? Bill?
William Cooper.
William Cooper. Now, have you read that book?
Yes.
I got that book. It's amazing where he says, like, there was no, you know, like, people smoked cigarettes till they were 150, and they're like, we got to wipe people out. So they dropped nuclear waste, like dust over the tobacco fields, and all of a sudden lung cancer happened, you know, and all that whole book, all those things, when you're reading them, at the end of the day, no one seems to care.
Yeah, right. Which is great. But one thing he predicted in that book that came true was school shootings.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, there's going to be school shootings where they're going to try to take away your guns. Your guns.
Yeah,
and we see it happen 100% left and right.
Well, that was what the whole guy said about the Boston bombing shit. He goes, this is just a scare factor, you know what I mean, to take away.
It's interesting stuff, dude.
It is, man. It is. And you know what? I love people that can sit around and talk about it without going fucking ballistic, because, man, that's the problem with most conspiracy theory guys.
Yeah.
They're looked at in a loony form.
Yeah, we're lovable loonies. That's what we call ourselves.
So
Lovable lunatics.
So they just cast it off. You know what I mean? And also, the other side is hot-headed. You're fucking crazy. So there's never any sit-down conversation of like, well, what about this?
I think there's people that are so afraid that might be true that they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They'd rather believe the narrative that
Well,
they're
that's
being
the thing about Kennedy assassination. If they just said, oh, well, the government killed him, it would buckle the entire country, you know. It comes down to the fake space landing, you know, where they said that the, what's his name, the director did the movie. Yeah, you know, it's all those that we've heard a million times, and I'm sure there's some truth to a lot of them. That Boston bombing one blew me away, though, because it was like only 10 hours later. I'm like, how could they have... They couldn't make that
footage.
What is
interesting about that bombing, and I'm not trying to make light of anything or anybody who died or if you know somebody who was there or anything like that, it's just like 2 people passed away. So far there's been 2 huge Hollywood movies about it. Like 2 people passed away.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God, it's the craziest thing. It's just really interesting shit going on. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's it's up there with 9/11. I don't do any 9/11 jokes. I never will. It's just a thing to me that is like one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in my life. And I'm 51. I'm just like, wow, I don't fuck around with that. That was, to me, there's nothing more brutal to me than that. It's just.
And to bring this all around, do you remember what album? Because 9/11 was on a Tuesday, and that's what album
Slayer.
dropped. God Hates Us All.
Yep, God Hates Us All came out that day. Never forgot it.
They had to be like,
oh my God. They're like, oh, we're fucked.
Bad timing. A lot of stuff. Dean Delray, thank you for coming on. Dean, where can they find all your stuff?
Twitter, Dean Delray, and Instagram, and website, deandelray.com.
Guys,
Delray is R-A-Y.
Go to allcomedytshirts.com. We have, you're supposed to wear your shirt. We have these shirts now available. Okay, you can get these shirts.
And this is awesome, guys. Fucking cool.
Yeah, I knew you liked those.
Well, we loved having you on. You were an awesome guest. So we have these T-shirts available. Now you see them too. This new T-shirt is available. It's my Heisenberg shirt. It says Sam Tripoli, and on the bottom it says I'm the one that rocks.
Yeah.
And those are available on all comedy T-shirts. Support us, and we're about to drop the new Stevie Weeby shirts. Those will be available starting next week. We're gonna push hard on those, and we'll get those going. Dean, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Guys, I know we've done
finally a podcast where not like, so you did this for that, and then the same 9 questions. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, we like it
That's
weird.
my new thing. I screen it now. I go, well, what do you want to talk about? And they go, well, I want to talk about you played music and then did comedy. I go, well, you can check Rogan, Maron, Pete Holmes, and Bill Burr's podcast for that. Pretty much did that.
Yeah.
Covered that on the biggest.
Yeah.
Come up with something original.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. We'd love to have you. I didn't know you were kind of into conspiracies.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I love it because it, to me, it really feels like people are alive. If they believe in stuff like that, you're alive and you're not just a robot in a shell just sitting in your house waiting to die.
People think I'm crazy, but I just go, hey, dude, it's like, we're wrapping up here, Aaron. Oh, yeah, and we got to get final thoughts from Aaron. But people think I'm crazy, but it's like, when I argue conspiracy people, not that I'm a brain surgeon at all, but it's literally like arguing a brain surgeon, arguing brain surgery with someone who's never studied brain surgery.
Yeah.
It's like arguing 6 + 2 = 8, and they refuse to see 2.
Yeah.
They have no clue what it is. They just have an emotional reaction to it. And no matter what you present to them, like DJ Crash is a good friend of mine. He is so onto this Russian Trump thing. And I'm just like, this fact. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He just wants to be right.
Yeah.
He just wants to be right.
Well, that's the problem with America. You know what I mean? It's like everyone wants to be right. And it's come
Instead
down
of do right.
It's come down to presidents. It's like football teams. Instead of like, what's good for our damn country?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so angry right now because I'm from Yosemite. It's like, wait, we're going to just drill for oil and shit in national parks? We're going to you can hunt eagles and stuff. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It
Just
shouldn't be
crazy
against you fucking white trasher against this guy. It should be like, hey, the planet.
Yeah.
The planet. This is all we got.
The fucking planet.
Yeah.
Dude.
Planet.
And it's time for the Dream Donut Truck Yeah, Dream Donut Trucks. Go to Dream Donut Trucks. Try them. Find them on Twitter. They're LA's premier donut truck, and they're a big sponsor of the show. And they welcome everyone's favorite segment. Final thoughts, Aaron. Thoughts.
I found it hilarious. You brought this back to Hillary somehow.
It always comes back to a pantsuit.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that all these false flags have caused guns to be taken away. I don't see any guns.
No. That's not what I said.
I know.
But that's what
they say.
That's They always call for gun.
Yeah, never happens.
You know?
Yeah.
Come on, Aaron.
Never happens.
Dude, I'm
Sorry, go on.
Welcome back.
I'm 51 and a total crazy outlaw, and I've never owned a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've never owned a gun.
Yeah.
You gone shooting lately?
I love shooting.
Okay.
I love going to places like shooting those desert eagles, man. And fucking, you ever watch desert eagle videos on
Where they
YouTube?
crack themselves in the
Oh, I
forehead.
love that shit, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a hold of this chemical called tannerite, and you put it inside a refrigerator. When you shoot it with a high-power rifle, it explodes. So maybe you can come out with us. when
I
we go to the
love
desert.
shooting over here at the Burbank
Yeah, let's
range.
do it,
here.
dude.
Oh, fucking great.
Let's go shoot some guns.
Goddamn,
homeboy.
ammo's a fortune, though, man.
I love it, though, dude.
Oh,
Gene, thank you so much for coming on. This
Thank
has
you.
been Tinfoil Hat. Dude, we got some great shows coming up. We got movie conspiracies. We have sports conspiracies.
I'll check my podcast, too. Let There Be Talk
Let
on
There
All
Be
Thing
Talk.
Comedy.
It's great.
Yeah.
You should have Dana on there. I keep telling you.
I'm
she's
ready.
The best.
I'm ready.
And then we got at the end of the month, we're going to talk, is the moon a satellite? So, guys, tune in. We will talk to you guys soon. This has been Tinfoil Hat.